This is a very new and interesting tent that we just purchased. It's the Zempire Pronto 10 V2 Inflatable Tent. Now this has a lot of good things going for it, but it doesn't have no flaws, okay? In this video, we're going to be checking out this tent, all its pros and cons. And first of all, we're just going to do a walk around this tent, and I want to show you what it looks like while it's all set up. We just purchased this from BCF. I live in Queensland, Australia, and we got this for $699. Now it's a 10-person tent, but it can comfortably sleep about 8 people in here. We purchased it to replace a tent that I just got rid of because of mold. And that's in another video on this channel if you want to see what the issue with that tent was. Now, we've never had an inflatable tent before, and I'm not saying this is the best thing ever, but I am saying this is very, very interesting. And the main thing is the wife is happy with it, so we're going to stick with it. But bang for buck, this is fantastic value for money, and literally it takes 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes to actually inflate, and literally about 10 minutes in total to set it all up in terms of getting it pegged out and tightened down to this state here. So really, really quickly, and I have to say literally 10 minutes. I've had a lot of other instant tents before, you know, from the Coleman company and Oztrail company. When they say instant and set up in 1 or 2 minutes, it's not entirely correct. Most of those other tents, you will lift up the frame of the tent, then you are spending about half an hour putting down the flyover all around. In this one, something that's really cool is the flyover is all attached. And so literally when you blow up the tent, it is up and it's good to go in literally 1 to 2 minutes. But then pegging down a couple of the guy ropes around may take you about another 8 minutes. So 10 minutes and you have a tent in this state. So just check it out. They call it a 10-man tent, and it is extremely, extremely spacious. Okay, you'll notice it comes out at the back there. Okay, that's called a vestibule. That's a storage area in the back, but there's no access around the back. You'll notice it has large openings here, but the flyover doesn't go all the way down to the ground. So that is very interesting. Okay, so we'll talk about that when we get on the inside about what about when it rains and storms, what about the waterproofing. I'm very used to having tents that have flyovers going all the way around. This doesn't have that. So will it withstand torrential rains? We'll talk about that. You'll notice from the front as well, it's got this canopy area at the front. They call this a Gullwing design, as in seagull or bird. It's kind of got this, you know, this triangular section that goes down here, and this is it when it's in the opened up state. Yeah, a Gullwing design. It comes with 3 awning poles like that. All of these guy ropes, they're 3.5mm diameter guy ropes. They're nice and strong, very, very easy, very, very fast to put up. I do like that. Let's go a little bit closer in and just have a look at some features. Straight away from the get-go, you have what's called a ladder storage system. These are all pockets, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4 times 2, that's 8 pockets there. Fantastic in terms of storage, that's great. You'll notice also it's got 2 doors going into it. They are D-shaped doors on each side, D-shaped. That's a twin door system. Let's go on in and open up the door. So lots of little features it has. Take off the old flip-flops. Coming on inside, this is extremely, extremely spacious in here. Inside straight away, we have more storage. Once again, and you got 8. So that's very, very nice. We have windows that open right up. So this is up on both sides of the tent. This helps with ventilation. We can open this right on up and go all the way down to there. And so you can just start to see how wide we can get it opened up. In terms of the ventilation, it's going to be great, especially in the warmer climates if you're into camping in the warmer seasons. At the back over here, you will see there are 2 lower sections. They are not doors to walk in and out, but they are more for ventilation, but also you can store things here. So when we open it up like this, you can actually have access to whatever you want to put here, more bags, your dirty, stinky shoes, or whatever the case may be. And then we've got the mesh here, just stops the bugs from coming in. They are access points at the rear of your tent. In the center of the room, there is a big dividing curtain wall. You'll see that I actually have the curtain for it stored in there, out of use. It cannot totally be removed, but it can be set up here to divide this into dual living quarters. You can also put it to the halfway point, roll it up, and it can be accessed here, but with a curtain wall here. There are multiple options that you have with how you can set up that dividing wall. You can have it as a big party tent, or you can have it as 2 rooms, or you can have it as a bit of a divided room, your call. So that is actually very, very versatile. Now, just having a look in here, you'll see that the flyover here is separated from the tent inner fabric. And that is because of the air tube frame system that it has here. And you'll see as we go up, it goes all the way up to the top there. There are 6 arms that form the support structure for this whole tent system. Now, this inflatable tube, this is extremely strong. I literally cannot squeeze it. We've never had an inflatable type of tent before, so this is very new for me. And I have to say that I'm very impressed with just how strong this actually is. If you're not used to these air tube systems, let me just sort of show you around the sides here. They have what's called Boston plugs. Over here, kind of tucked away, you know, it's covered up out of sight, but what it is, it's a 2-stage valve system. The first one is over here, you'll put your pump, and this whole tent setup comes with a pump. And it goes over here. There is a 1-way valve in there, air goes in, doesn't come out. When it comes time to actually releasing all the air, you undo this secondary threaded nut there, and all the air escapes. Now, this Boston valve, very, very reliable, and I read that they've come a long way from when they first were invented. We've got one there, and up on this tent, you've got a second one right there, and that's it. Just 2. It doesn't have one up on any of the other arms, and to be frank, that's all it needs. There is a inflatable arm right there, and also right at the back. So what we're talking about, we have 1, 2, 3, and then up on the rear of the tent, exactly configured the same, 4, 5, 6. This is a 6-arm inflatable tent. They actually work brilliantly. You know, I have to say that if there was really strong wind, extremely strong wind coming from storms or whatever, you know, a lot of tents, they start to push around, you know, and if you have sort of aluminium supports or fiberglass rods, if there is extremely strong wind, sometimes they can bend so much that damage happens to it. But with an inflatable type of tent, this can move around, which is why you need to tie these down, especially when wind is around. But the thing is, this can be pushed like this, you know, if there's such strong wind, and there would be a breakage happening of your aluminium tent frames. But here, it just pops straight back. So that actually is a benefit in these inflatable air tent systems. You will notice around the tent there are 12 guy rope tie down points. Without going all around, you know, there are 12 areas where there are guy ropes. Now, these guy ropes are reflective, and they have a tensioning system that looks like this. Sort of custom design, I guess, from Zempire, and they work very well, not too bad at all. Let's talk about the fabric that's used in the tent here. The flyover. The flyover here is a poly Oxford material. It's pretty tough, and I can feel it actually is good quality. This is what they call 150 denier thickness, and it's I think about 115 thread count, or 125, something thereabouts. It is, you know, quite well made. I had a close look at the stitch lines and the seams, you know, all inside of it. And I have to say, I am pretty happy with just the quality of this flyover. The flyover here has a waterproof head rating of 3,000 millimeters. Basically what that means is that's measured in water terms. If a column of water was concentrated upon this flyover material of 3,000 millimeters or 3 meters. It should withhold water from coming through. I haven't exactly tested a 3 meter high column of water, but that's what this is specified at. So I'm pretty happy with the quality. You know, it's got Zempire across here. It's got a whole bunch of these toggles to help tie these things up if you don't want the Gullwing configuration set up like that. Overall, yeah, it's got, you know, good zipper systems, good Velcro loop systems here. Not too bad at all. And I do like that it's constantly attached. When you lift up this tent and set it up, straight away the flyover is attached. And there's just another example of how it's attached to the inner tent there. And I love the spacing it has all around. So if there is heavy rain, the inside here upon the roof section is not going to be affected because of the spacing there is from the flyover to the inner by virtue of the inflatable tent tubes. That's pretty good. Now, in terms of the inner fabric here is a 75 denier thickness, which is reasonable, and I think the thread count is 190 thread count, so that's pretty tight. Now the issue will be, obviously, if you're thinking, or like me, I'm used to having the flyover going right over to the ground. In this instance, if it's raining heavily, you can see rain is going to be coming here, and you have to actually make sure that the windows are up at least to that point. Okay, you can still have ventilation, but water will be coming down here and running down. Now, I haven't tested this yet in the field. You know, we've just purchased this, so that will be very interesting to see, and I might have to do a follow-up review video of actually how this performs in wet weather, in a storm type of climate, and how this holds up. The Zempire company says this has been tested in torrential rain. So that is very interesting. I would like to actually see, does this withstand water coming through or beginning to build up here in torrential rain? Don't know yet. I'll do a follow-up video. But in saying that, I certainly do love that this is all done from the inside. If a storm is coming, I do not have to run outside and mess around with the flyover that's on the outside. I do it all on the inside. So that actually is pretty good. And you can see, you know, when you tie things down, there are toggles. This is pretty standard in all of these tents, and it just looks neater, doesn't it? Or you can have it up, etc. Let's talk a bit about this floor. This is a polyethylene floor, and I have to say, this is very good quality. I am very pleased and impressed with this thickness. It's heavy duty. This is going to last for many years. I've had a lot of tents, and I can say that this is a quality floor. I've had other floors that are made out of polyurethane. Just in my previous tent from Oztrail, it was thick, it looked durable, but if you didn't put it away, you know, when it was dry and there's a bit of dampness, for me, it was only a matter of about, I don't know, 3 months or 4 months. And that Oztrail flooring, which I thought was amazing and good, was covered with mold. Check out my video, it's crazy stuff. And I cannot get it out, and I've had to throw the tent away. It was ridiculous. This tent floor, this is different. And so I'm very hopeful that this will not attract mold. I'll make sure that I put the tent away dry, but that it won't attract mold as easily as the Oztrail tent flooring did. You'll notice there is a bucket design. Bucket just means there is a bit of length that rises up from the floor upwards. So in heavy torrential rain, you know, water should not come inside because there is a bucket system here. In terms of inside here, I'll just show you something that it has a hang point right there. I don't really like that the hang point is like this. It's either, well, you pick and choose. It's either this side or that side. They should have at least done a double stitched section here or something where I could hang a light in this area and this area. However, I guess in saying that, I can always just hang a little lantern down so it hangs past, and that'll light all of this area up. It also has a little zippered area here, And that's not just for someone's hands to pop through, this is to put your power cord through. I guess a downside from having it there is that it's right in the center of the front of the tent. So it means you'll have a power cable coming in from the front as opposed maybe from the rear or, you know, from the side. So that's something to think about too. On the inside of the tent, you'll notice it has this mesh material. This is no-seam mesh, so this is going to withstand all of your little creepy crawlies, your spiders, your bugs and your mozzies, you know, from coming from the outside, inside, to suck away at your blood. There is a lot of ventilation happening here, okay? We open this up. We can open up this as well. This is a dual stage door. Whoops, let me just find it over here. There we go. And we have another nice big ventilation area coming through. I mean, that is really, really good. So ventilation is not going to be a problem. Now, something that this tent is not, it's not a block out tent. My previous tent was block out and everything was black as. So that's something to consider. If you want absolute block out, this is not the tent for you. But if you don't mind having a bit of, you know, light coming through like this, well, then this may be something you want to consider. I love the whole ventilation aspect over here. In terms of the zippers, just to show you this, the zipper here is a great system. I love this finger pull type of setup, and this is glow in the dark. So if you've actually had a little bit of light through the day shining on this, this will actually glow for you if you have to try to find it in the darkness. That is actually a good point. They don't have it over here up on the windows, but they've only got it up on the doors, and I guess that's the one that counts. You know, middle of night, you're trying to find where the zipper is, and you can see it illuminate. Just looking at the curtain wall and more facing the ladder shelf system, there is another loop here. Don't know exactly what for, but maybe you can hang something there. You can think about that if that suits, but that's one hang point there. There are not really any other hang points inside the cabin here. So that is something that you may, you know, consider whether you need or don't need. But there are options, you know, if you want to make extra hang points, you can actually buy certain things that can grip on here and they can hang down. You know, it's not the end of the world. Now, in terms of dimensions, from the very back of the tent all the way to here, 3,350 millimeters long. In terms of side to side, we're talking 4.3 meters, 4,300 millimeters in terms of width, 4.3 meters. Now, because this is quite a large tent, let me give you some realistic dimensions of how much space you're going to need in terms of setting this up, in terms of real estate. From the very edge where the guy rope is, don't look at that point, but look at where you have to set up your guy rope. Okay, we'll follow the measuring tape all the way to this side to where these guy ropes are, and we are talking 5.7 meters. So you need at least 5.7 meters wide. Now let's have a look from back all the way to the front. All the way from the back guy rope there, that's where we started, and we're going all the way to the very front. Go past that point, go past the poles, go to actually where you need to peg it out to, all the way down here, and we're talking pretty much 7.8 meters. 7.8 meters. So realistically, it's a large tent, so you're going to need a large parcel of land. This can't be on one of those teeny tiny little campsites like at Mount Tambourine Thunderbird Park, where everyone's crowded around like sardines. You actually need a bit of room. But I figure that you're going to be camping in larger environments, maybe at hip camps, and this will actually be perfect for that if you've got the room. When we're looking at the front awning from the ground all the way up to the top of the middle pole, it's 2,060 millimeters high, so 2 meters, 0.06. And inside the tent, from the very center of the ground, all the way up to the very top, we're talking 2150. So 2.15 meters in height. Right, it's a fairly large bag. Let's just use one of these luggage scales just to see how much everything weighs all together. 24 It's 24 kilos. So a bit of weight in that. If I was to throw a measuring tape around it as it is now fully packed, well, let's just see. The diameter here would be approximately 40 centimeters. Let's just say approximately 40 centimeters diameter, and the length of it from the end that I can feel here all the way to here is 680 millimeters. That's 68 centimeters. Now I just want to show you a comparison. Check this out. This is the new tent compared to my tent that I'm replacing. This one here is the Oztrail fast frame. This is a 6-person tent. This weighs on its own 18.5 kilos. You can see the size of that, and then you can see the size of this brand new one. 24 kilos, 18.5 kilos, and that's a comparison of the size. The Zempire 10-man tent and a 6-person tent. All right, I thought that's helpful just as a comparison. I have to get rid of that one anyways because it's riddled with mold and I cannot get out of it. My wife's not going to sleep in it ever again. So this is what I'm replacing it with. Size-wise, look, I like how it's short. Okay, it is a bit thicker and heavier, but I really don't mind it. I think this will work. Not as long like that, but look how big it folds up. Okay, so look, overall, I do like the design of the tent, and so does the wife, but I don't absolutely love the design. I think there are a couple of cons with it, and what are they? And I think I'd want to know, if I was watching this video, what are some of the cons that maybe you haven't considered? Well, first of all, I think one of the cons is if you are having this Gullwing awning design, it's set up out like this, great. But the problem is if it's going to rain, you can see water is going to be piling up and pooling up in there. Where? Over here, mate. Right here. All right. So this is going to be a catch point for water. Now, you can do either of two things. Okay, number one, you can pull it down while there's torrential rain and have it closed, and I'll show that to you in a second. That is a very probably practical option there, probably the best option. Alternatively, you can get one of those extendable tent poles, not like this is in sections, but extendable ones, and put it like a rag up on top and push it up. So the moment you extend this up, then the water is not going to be pooling up here, it's going to be running down there. So that is actually a very practical option, extend it up. That's something, we will test out, and I'll give you some feedback on in my follow-up review video after using this for some time. Now let me just show you real world, you won't see this in other videos. What if it is torrential rain? How do you set this tent up? This is what you won't see in all of their advertising videos. Realistically, the way it would work, that I can see it, is you've got to throw down your guy ropes at the front and your 3 poles, and that's okay. And then you get the whole front awning and you put down 3 pegs, 1, 2, 3. And that gives you this kind of a setup. So water, realistically, is going to be rolling off down the front, down to the back, which is already set up as so. And you've got to have your inside material zipped up so that water can actually fall down here and down there. Once again, I've yet to test that for real, but what about access in and out during torrential rain? If you have to run in and out, well, number one, I think you may have to actually set up an additional tarp. At least that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll test that and show you in the video to come. But inside and outside access, okay, when it's like this, the way they have it is you would be opening up your zipper like this. And what you have is access to the door from here. You have a whole covered area where you can actually store stuff. That's about 1 meter wide, something thereabouts. So there is a lot of space that you can actually store your bags and whatever you want there. But this is how it's going to be. Like, this is going to be your little access point, okay? If it's raining, then you open it up here, and this is why they've got their D-style door up on this side. And then in you go. I would then be closing down the outer fly, and then I'm back to having protection here. You can leave this open, or you can actually close it like that. Make sure that's closed up too in torrential rain. And hey, then you can continue your party over here. But that's realistically how that works. Okay, once again, we want to get out. All right, then we've got this inner area, vestibule area. Not really enough to do any cooking or standing up, but enough to keep your belongings dry. I like that at least. And this opens up only to there, and I've got access over here just to get my flip-flops on, and that's practically how that would work. Okay, so there you go. That's a first look at the Zempire Pronto 10 V2 tent, inflatable tent. Look, honestly, I can say literally, yeah, 1 to 2 minutes inflate time, and then about 8 minutes just to peg down all of the guy ropes. That is a really, really big pro in my opinion. $699. It's $300 cheaper than it's normally advertised at. And yeah, really looking forward to giving this a run for its money. Look, like I said, guys, I'll do a follow-up, long-term review or 6-month review after we've used it a few times and give you my feedback then. Otherwise, for now, yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions, just yell out, sing out in the comments area. I'll leave a link to where I got this. This was at BCF, $699, mate. Just for reference, we actually were considering to go up to the next level of inflatable tent from Zempire. Basically, it's a totally different design. A lot of good things going for it, but twice the price, like literally twice the price. It's got a brilliant design, and it's got this like extended canopy that goes over like this. Really, really good. The downside of that tent is that it's not, number one, twice the price, but secondly, it's just small. It's just small in its head height. Whereas when you walk into this, you have a heap of room. Just a heap of room. If you've got the real estate to do your camping, to have this tent, then I think you're probably going to prefer this. That Aero tent, I think it's called Aero or Evo, the head height just isn't there for the way we like to do our family camping. Anyways, that's just a consideration, okay? I'm not trying to sell you this, and I don't really care if you buy it or not. I thought I'd just show you this video and some of the considerations we were thinking of when purchasing this, and after setting it up, just sort of seeing how it all went. So I hope you found the video informative, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Leave me a comment and stick around for some more review videos of other products that I review. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next one.